Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Let's Read the Bible. Today's chapter is from Genesis 26. Let's go inside the text. Now there was a famine in the land, besides the previous famine that had occurred in the days of Abraham. So Isaac went to Gerar, to Abimelech, king of the Philistines. The Lord appeared to him and said, "Do not go down to Egypt. Stay in the land of which I shall tell you. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with you and bless you. For to you and to your descendants I will give all these lands, and I will establish the oath which I swore to your father Abraham. I will multiply your descendants as the stars of heaven, and will give your descendants all these lands, and by your descendants all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because Abraham obeyed me and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, my laws." So Isaac lived in Gerar. When the men of the place asked about his wife, he said, "She is my sister," for he was afraid to say "my wife," thinking the men of the place might kill me on account of Rebekah, for she is beautiful. It came about, when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked out through the window and saw, and behold, Isaac was caressing his wife Rebekah. Then Abimelech called Isaac and said, "Behold, certainly she is your wife. How then did you..." Technical difficulties, sorry about that. "Say she is my sister." And Isaac said to him, "Because I said I might die on account of her." Abimelech said, "What is this you have done to us? One of the people might easily have lain with your wife, and you would have brought guilt upon us." So Abimelech charged all the people, saying, "He who touches this man or his wife shall surely be put to death." Now Isaac sowed in the land and reaped in the same year 100-fold. And the Lord blessed him. And the man became rich and continued to grow richer until he became very wealthy. For he had possessions of flocks and herds and a great household, so that the Philistines envied him. Now all the wells which his father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham his father, the Philistines stopped up by filling them with earth. Then Abimelech said to Isaac, "Go away from us, for you are too powerful for us." And Isaac departed from there and camped in the valley of Gerar and settled there. Quarrel over the wells. Then Isaac dug again the wells of water which had been dug in the days of his father Abraham, for the Philistines had stopped them up after the death of Abraham, and he gave them the same names which his fathers had given them. But when Isaac's servants dug in the well and found there a well of flowing water, the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with the herdsmen of Isaac, saying, "The water is ours." So he named the wells Esek, because they contended with him. Then they dug another well, and they quarreled over it too. So he named it Sitnah. He moved away from there and dug another well, and they did not quarrel over it. So he named it Ruthboth. And he said, "At last the Lord has made room for us, and we will be fruitful in the land." Then he went up from there to Beersheba. The Lord appeared to him the same night and said, "I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not fear, for I am with you. I will bless you and multiply your descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham." So he built an altar there and called upon the name of the Lord and pitched his tent there, and there Isaac's servants dug a well. Covenant with Abimelech. Then Abimelech came to him from Gerar with his advisor Ahuzzath and Phicol, commander of his army. Isaac said to them, "Why have you come to me, since you hate me and have sent me away from you?" They said, "We see plainly that the Lord has been with you." So we said, let there now be an oath between us, even between you and us, and let us make a covenant with you, that you will do us no harm, just as we have not touched you and have done you nothing but good and have sent you away in peace. You are now the blessed of the Lord." Then he made them a feast, and they ate and drank. In the morning they arose and exchanged oaths. Then Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. Now it came about on the same day that Isaac's servants came in and told him about the well which they had dug, and said to him, "We have found water." So he called it Sheba. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. When Esau was 40 years old, he married Judith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and Basemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite. And they brought grief to Isaac and Rebekah. And that concludes chapter 26. Okay, let's go inside the text. So we're inside the verses here, and we notice that in the very beginning of the chapter, it's talking about a famine in the land. It says, "Once again, the land of promise forced the beneficiaries of the covenant to move so as to escape the effects of the famine." Abimelech most probably a Palestine dynastic title, from that dynasty, I guess you would say. I don't know if anybody's ever used the word dynastic relative to anybody I know. So it was a dynasty title, with this being a different king from the one who had met with Abraham. It was talking about the Philistines. This is a tribe of people who originally sailed the Mediterranean Sea and became fierce enemies of Israel when they settled along the southwest coast of Palestine. Friendly to Isaac, they were forerunners of hostile descendants of the enemies. It's talking about obedience and deceit in verse 11, obeying God to dwell in the land, verse 2, 3, and 6, and then yet lying about his wife to the people of the land. We notice we're telling the same lie to protect your beautiful wife as Abraham did. Sometimes to me, when I read certain things like this, I think that it's inherent that these are obviously two separate men, Isaac and Abraham, father and son. Whether you think that was something, to tell that lie again in knowing God has protected you, knowing you're blessed, and then still feel fearful of man. So, even these days, no matter how much of a Christian you are, how much faith you have in God, there's some sort of fear that's there. But we see this again as another instance when Isaac has lied. So Isaac's lied this time, as opposed to his father Abraham. Also, another part of it that I found interesting inside of here. They were talking about, let's see, we were on, 23. Rehoboth, Rehoboth. The word means room enough. Finally, a well was dug without a quarrel erupting, from verse 20 and 21. Now that they were no longer perceived as encroaching upon each other's territory, Isaac selected an appropriate place name, which reflected how he saw God providentially working out their situation. 30th, again, we're talking about 28th through 30th is talking about an oath, a covenant. We've mentioned that again. In a mirror image of a former occasion, Abimelech, in the company of a friend and the highest ranking officer in his army, sought after a treaty with one they estimated to be superior and stronger than themselves and a possible threat. Isaac, on the other hand, perceived them as hostile. The outcome was most desirable for both, peace between them. Then we drop down to 34, where it talked about verse 34, where it talked about it, we once again it's talking about we're married outside the family. He brought grief. Eshua's choice of wives from among neighboring Hittite women saddened his parents. His actions had deliberately ignored the standards set by Abraham for Isaac. So we've seen another diversion from where we're supposed to be. And that concludes everything for chapter 26. Hope to see you back for Genesis chapter 27.